think this is something that a lot of people do wrong, is like, we're the new shiny object, instead of saying, we're going to get you results. Back in the day, no one gave that stuff away. So I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another forum around affiliate marketing. Then someone inboxed me on the community and said, can I pay you to put my banners on the site for my affiliate network? I was like, what? Like, I can make money from this?
And you sold the community to Neil Patel.
Selling to Neil Patel was pretty cool. It was quite a cool story. Like, everything just ticked. So for 8 to 9 years, we were called the landing page guys. Until someone proved me wrong, I think we've designed more landing pages than any other agency on the planet, like 8,000 plus.
What does your review collection process look like?
We put a lot of focus on reviews. I don't know if many other agencies do this. We run internal. By the age of 30, my big goal was to become a millionaire. Everything just aligned, and I did it, and it was a really cool experience.
What you think the key has been to being able to get ConversionWise to the level that you've got it to?
Yeah, it's definitely.
So, Oliver, welcome to Agency Giants.
Thank you.
You worked in kitchens from the age of 13. Funnily enough, so did I, actually, my first start of the career. But you got into the chefing position and stayed there for a decent amount of time. I've always had an immense amount of respect for chefs, because there's something very admirable about dedicating your career and craft to passion and really naff all money. You eventually broke out. Yeah. You eventually broke out of that, though, and went on to sell multiple companies now, and have been very successful off the back of that. I've made some good money. Talk me through that.
Yeah. Yes, kitchens from 13. So I think when I was growing up, I think one thing that my parents did very well was like give me a very good understanding of the value of money. So I always had to work. Not that I was like chucked out the door, like, you've got to go to work. It was just like, why don't you go get some money? So it was good. So I was lucky enough to get into a kind of chef job, working in a pizza kitchen from about 13. I don't think you could do that now, but I'm showing my age here. But back then you could kind of get a job at that age and keep it off the books, I say. But it was good. I think it taught me a lot of skills, but like you say, it's a very unthankful job. Yeah, you're working long hours, not much money, but it was the only thing I really liked and enjoyed. I wasn't very good at school. I wasn't like naughty. I wasn't like a bad kid. I just wasn't interested. Kitchens was all I knew. I was just working in the kitchens and kind of fell into the online space, funny enough, through hip hop. Used to love like all the kind of rap battles, the days of like 8 Mile, Eminem. And I just used to go online, and there was forums, communities. This was before like Facebook groups, before
hot new hip hop.
I was on rapbattles.com,
okay.
rapmusic.com, and they were old school like V-Bulletin forums. And I used to join and read all the battles, and that's how I discovered the online space. And one day I was kind of thinking to myself, all these communities, all these different forums, it sounds really geeky here, would beef with each other. They'd all come onto each other's forums and like slag each other off and have these battles. And I thought it wasn't fair, because they were coming from other people's forums, and then that forum would like kind of destroy them because they were on their turf. So I was like, why don't we create this middle forum where all the forums come together to battle? Like all these different rap communities will battle on a middle ground. And I think I had websites before, but I think that was my first kind of foray into kind of business. I did the whole kind of cliche, but Dragon's Den pitch to my dad and my grandfather at the time, because I wasn't earning much money. I must have been about 15 at this time. And I asked for 140 quid, I think it was, for a V-Bulletin license, which was the forum software. And that would cover domain and hosting for a year, probably. For 40% of my company. And my dad still reminds me every week that he owns 40% of my company. But I kind of took that money, started this forum. And it's one of those things where I'm sure you probably have a similar, and most people do have a similar journey, where like you don't plan, no one plans to like, I didn't know what an agency was at school. I didn't know what conversion rate optimization was. Of course I didn't. But you kind of meet people, you network, and you go on to the next thing. And through that hip hop forum, I met a guy in Wales who was into affiliate marketing, CPA marketing. And that was the first time I really made money online. He kind of taught me what he was doing. Incentive-advised marketing, CPA marketing. So basically we were getting people to do something, fill in a survey, and we were getting a commission for that. And this, again, was back in a day where like you could build really big Facebook pages on Facebook for like 1 penny clicks. It was like so easy to grow these huge followings, and then you set up these campaigns. And I guess community's always been a kind of thing that I've been really passionate about, whether I know it or not back then. But because of the affiliate marketing that this guy was teaching me, it was all very secretive. Like, I don't know if you remember the kind of Warrior Forum, and there was Digital Point Forum and Wicked Fire, and I was on all these forums, but no one was sharing how they were making money. They were all sharing like kind of like I think in my opinion now it's not easy to make money, but like everyone shares on Twitter, like everyone's just giving everything away. Back in the day, no one gave that stuff away. So I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another forum, another community around affiliate marketing, just with the pure reason of hopefully we get people to share how they make money and I can make some more money. I'm still a chef at this time. And I was literally like working split shifts, coming home at night, geeking out on forums, in between my shifts, geeking out on forums. And stumbled across, like I say, affiliate marketing, started an affiliate marketing community, and honestly just never even realized I could properly even monetize a community. The whole point was just to grow some network and understand how I can do affiliate marketing better. And all of a sudden, like, I think it was just time and place, like all these people started joining, and like I would wake up and there'd be like another 100 members. I was like, what? Like, no paid advertising, nothing, just word of mouth, like people coming onto the community. And then someone inboxed me on the community and said, can I pay you to put my banners on the site for my affiliate network? And I was like, what? Like, I can make money from this? Like, this is crazy. And then something just clicked, and my whole shift just shifted to, let's monetize the forum. Let's kind of not necessarily do affiliate marketing, but let's grow the biggest affiliate marketing community. And I just pushed all my cash from the banner sales back then, etc., back into the community to grow it, into making it look really nice, new features, new kind of updates, and we grew and we grew and we grew. And it was because of that community that I was able to earn enough money when I was not until I was 26. So this took me a long time. Like from 13 to 26, I was a chef, but I was working relentlessly on communities and this affiliate marketing forum, up into a point where I remember having a conversation with my mum and dad, and I was like, I'm going to quit being a chef. And like my parents they're amazing parents. They brought me up and my sister up in a very good way, but they were very pro-education. My sister's a doctor, training to be a consultant. You know, they wanted me to go to university. I just wasn't interested. So I think for them, it was like a little bit of not a kick in the teeth, but like they didn't really get, and I think that's what drove me. The biggest, a lot of people say like, you know, what drives you back then? I think for me, the excitement was the fact that I was making money and my parents didn't have a clue how. Like, I thought that was really cool back then. I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. Like, education isn't the only way. Like, I'm going to go do this. And I remember sitting down with them when I was 26 and saying to them, like, I'm going to leave my job. And they were like, what? Like, this internet thing? Like, you can actually make money? Like, and I was like, Dad, I'll show you. Like, I've made more this month online than I have in the kitchen, and I'm working ridiculous hours in the kitchen. I'm only doing this two hours a day. And they were very supportive, to be fair. They backed me. They said, look, if all else fails, give it 6 months. I moved out when I was about 19, 20, so I was renting a flat, and they were like, if all else fails, you can come home. Like, don't worry, you can have 6 months back at home, it doesn't matter. And we go again. And yeah, like, as they say, the kind of rest is history. I think from 26 to 29, I then grew that forum. That was the first company I then sold at the age of 29. And the best thing to come from that forum still to this day is there's hundreds of thousands. It's the largest affiliate community online with 180,000 members around the world. But my co-founder joined that forum, and I didn't know him before, and he lives 20 minutes from my house. And that's crazy.
That is crazy.
So Andy's definitely the best thing that's come from that community. I met him, and we then started what is now ConversionWise, the agency, through that community, and that was somewhat 12 years ago.
That's interesting. And you sold the community to Neil Patel, right?
Yeah.
Why did you make the choice to sell? Did you lose love with it? Like, why not continue riding that wave? And do you look at it now and think, oh man, that's a big old community right now?
Yeah, great question. This was more personal. So when I kind of got that kind of entrepreneurial bug, I guess, I don't know what age, maybe 15, 16, when you start making some money, not big money, but money, and like you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, again, like it was the whole thing for me that like no one knows what I'm doing and I'm making money. That's cool. Like, that's really cool. That drove me. I think I've never been like a massive goal setter of like, I want the penthouse mansion, I want this. But I always have one goal, the next goal in mind. And when I was 15, 16, that goal was always to become a millionaire. I think it was very kind of like, I think most people did at that age. I think now, like, I'm not saying £1 million is a hell of a lot of money, but I think back then it was like a hell of a lot of money. Like the £1 million status was like, wow, like that's incredible. And I didn't tell anyone that apart from my now wife, Josie, my partner, who I've been with for years, and my mentor, a guy called Adam Torren. I don't know if you heard of the Torren brothers.
I have heard of the Torren
Adam
brothers.
and Matthew Torren. They kind of they founded Young Entrepreneur, which then sold to Entrepreneur, which became entrepreneur.com.
I remember Young Entrepreneur.
Yeah, that was a community, the forum.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
he actually bought one of my
I was
communities.
part of that.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, he actually bought one of my communities. That's why I first met him, and then he's now like just a very close friend and mentor. But I only told him, and I only told my wife that by the age of 30, my big goal was to become a millionaire. And I don't know if it's just like, I'm not a huge kind of believer in manifestation, or I think karma is real, but like I don't know if it was just time and chance. But at the age of 29, from having 0 offers on the table to acquire this community, 2 companies separately, independently reached out to buy the community, and they both offered different payment amounts, different terms. Back then, I didn't really know. I wasn't experienced in selling businesses. I wasn't prepared for like the due diligence and what happens with that and what goes on with that. But I said to Adam, I said, like, I have this goal to be a millionaire by 30. This opportunity's come up. What do you think I should do? And both of these deals weren't great if I look back on them. But he said, right, give me like a week and I'll go speak to some people. And Adam was very well connected to Neil and his investment companies. So Neil has hundreds of businesses, but several investment companies, and a guy called Devon run his investment company. And he said, I've spoken to Devon and Neil, and they want the community. And I was like, okay, well, again, this is like another kind of stars aligned thing. Selling to Neil Patel was pretty cool. It's quite a cool story. Like everything just ticked. And I was like, I just think everything made sense. And it kind of ticked that goal. And I was just before 30. Like it was literally when I was 29. I was like, everything just aligned. And I did it. And it was a really cool experience. I don't think if you haven't sold a company, it's quite a strange thing to go through the whole kind of due diligence, and it takes a long time, and they literally like want to see everything in your company. And for me, it was time and chance, and I retained a small amount of equity, but I mean, I'll say this on record, the community's gone quite downhill, and I'd love to buy it back. I would love to buy it back. We're trying, we're speaking, trying to get through to the kind of correct people, but we'll see.
You still own a small part of the equity
tiny,
now?
like 5%. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
5%.
Yeah. So you hit that point. You hit that first major goal.
Yeah.
You've just hit that status that you've held up, like the poster status. How does that feel at that time, and what does then the next few years look like when it comes to entrepreneurship? Did you enjoy it for a little bit, or did you go straight back into the next project?
Yeah, I was okay. So how did it feel? I think there's a delayed reaction when you sell a company. I think when that offer comes through, here's the other thing: I didn't tell anyone. So when that offer came through, I didn't tell my wife. I think I told Andy, my co-founder of the other business, but Andy wasn't part of the community. It was only my business. I didn't tell anyone. I told Andy and I told Adam. And I think when that offer, like, I can remember sitting at my desk and you read the email with it's called a letter of intent, like, we want to buy your business for X amount. And it's like you kind of pre-sign a contract to then go into due diligence. And when I opened that email, I think I don't know if I cried, but like I had that feeling of like overwhelmedness, like, oh my God, like what? This is mental. Like this is crazy. Because I didn't have money. I didn't like, I was a chef, as you know. So there was definitely that feeling. But then the actual process of selling a company for the first time is brutal, as I said, because I think you just think when you get that email, you're like, oh, next week, that's going to land in my bank. And it's so the opposite. It took, I think we were in, quite short time in reflection, but it probably took about 3-4 months in due diligence where they want, I didn't even know what a P&L was. I hadn't had a clue. Like I was just running this business and trying to earn as much money as possible within this community and doing well for just me and someone I paid $600 a month to moderate the community. That's why it was such an attractive business. But yeah, it was just a mad couple of months, and I think the fun gets sucked out of it when you're like buzzing because you get this email and offer, and then it's like accountants, legals, solicitors, and it kind of just drains and drains. And then the worst bit is like they'll say, okay, we aim to do it on Friday the 20th, for example. So I'm getting like buzzed. I'm all hyped. I haven't told anyone. So at this point, I booked a restaurant for my family. They didn't know what was going on. They probably thought like Josie's pregnant or something like that. Or we're getting married. Like I don't know what they thought, but I booked this restaurant and said like, I'm going to arrange taxis for you all to pick you up, and we're going to meet in Bristol. It's a nice restaurant, because I wanted to then tell them. And the day before, you then say, no, it's looking like Tuesday, and I had to like then cancel it. And I think that happened like 2 or 3 times. So like the hype kind of like, it dies down a little bit. But I think when it did happen, it was great. I still took the family to the hotel and to the restaurant, and I always remember like, it's just sitting opposite my dad and telling them, and they were really happy. And that I can say was amazing. That feeling was amazing. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I love that. I can imagine that's an incredible feeling. Did you not feel like you could celebrate until the payment was in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, it's like we run agencies. It's like when you have an amazing prospect and the contract's signed, but that payment hasn't hit, and it's like we're not marking it as closed. We're not getting started. We're not cheering yet. No. And until that money's in the bank, and of course there's payment terms. It's not like you just have a lump sum. We got very favorable terms with these guys, which was great. And they were very good. They paid on the day every time they should have done, and they did the deal very, very well. But no, until that kind of money drops,
you can't allow yourself to.
Not at all. I was still thinking it could go wrong. I think that's a good mindset to have, because it could. You know, I've had situations where friends and people are selling companies, and literally again the day before, you know, the third party pulls out, and these things can happen. So I think I was kind of mentally prepared for that. But the day it did happen, even though it was delayed and the kind of like fun was sort of taken out of it a bit, nothing mattered when I was sat in that restaurant with my family and Josie and telling them. Like, that was amazing. Yeah.
Awesome. So coming out of that, you then started the agency next?
No. So luckily, I think, to answer your kind of second question, I think I was fortunate that we had the agency alongside. So I was still running the community because I started that. I found Andy, me and Andy met on the community. That was my business. But during that, what happened is a guy called, do you know Tim Bird? He's kind of called the Facebook godfather. He had a group called AdLeaks, very cool guy.
I know AdLeaks.
Yeah, old school kind of Facebook marketing guy. Tim's a good friend of mine, but Tim was the first person to advertise on Affiliate Fix, which was the community. He was the one who owned the network, who reached out and said, can I put some money on? And I was like, well, yeah. And then we became very close. And Tim was, back in the day, he did a lot of lead generation for debt.org in America. A lot of kind of, lead gen on Meta. And he was on the community, and as I said, any bit of cash I got, I pushed back into the design, and I met a designer on Digital Point, a guy called Sib, who still works for us to this day, which is crazy. And he designed this community. It looked really nice. So Tim hit me up on Affiliate Fix, and he said, "Oh, can I use your designer? I want some landing pages created." And I didn't really even know what a landing page was back then. I had no idea. This is a long time ago. And I said, yeah, but I think again, like, this is where, without knowing it, I had that kind of entrepreneurial sort of mindset in me where I was like, I didn't intro them, I would arbitrage the situation. So I sat in the middle, almost like a project manager, and said, okay, Tim, you pay me X, I'll manage the landing page build with Sib and the guys, and I'll pay them Y, and I'll take a profit. And we did that for a couple of times, and Tim kind of helped us develop high converting frameworks for these landing page designs. And he then turned around and he was like, okay, debt.org want 8 of these a month, I'll pay you $6,000 a month. And I was like, this is fucking nuts. Like, I was like, I mean, that's 6 months worth of wages as a chef. I was like, this is crazy. But I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And then I'll work out how to deliver it after. And that was when I met Andy. And I still to this day remember a little contract that I had with Andy where it's like on a piece of paper and it's like, oh, I will employ you. You'll come to my house twice a week. I'll provide you lunch once a week. And it was like £400 a month or something like this. And I think me and Andy did that for about a week where he would help me fulfill Tim's landing pages. And I just suddenly, I quickly realized that Andy isn't an employee. He's a co-founder, and we just got on really well. And that's when we kind of formed. Originally, we were called Landing Page Guys. We were literally called Landing Page Guys. It was like, do what you say on the tin. We wanted to be known as like the guys for landing pages. And that was, 12, 13 years ago. We only rebranded about 2-3 years ago to ConversionWise. So I was very lucky that kind of as Affiliate Fix was scaling and sold, I just went straight into all in on Landing Page Guys.
And then transitioned from landing pages naturally to conversion rate optimization. For people who are watching this right now, who maybe are young to the industry, that don't understand exactly what conversion rate optimization is, or CRO, can you explain?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to explain it is, I always use this analogy of, you can send 1,000 people to an unoptimized website and 100 people will buy your product. You can send the exact same, so not different people, the exact same 1,000 people to an optimized website and 200 people might buy. So what we do, and there's a lot more that kind of goes into this, but we will work typically with high volume e-com stores, people doing over 100,000 sessions per month to the site, and we'll run basic experimentation on the site. So we'll do kind of A/B tests, we'll hypothesize through data and through UX and UI, and we'll say, it's not this simple, but we'll say, okay, we think that this headline on your landing page above the fold is going to convert better or make you more money than the one you have right now. We then use a software that you as a consumer wouldn't know, but 50% of the audience goes to version A, 50% goes to version B, and the software will tell you which one converts better. And that's kind of what we do as an ongoing. There's a lot more to it. It's a lot based around kind of human psychology and persuasion principles and conversion principles and frameworks that we've kind of built. But in essence, that's what we're doing on the kind of day-to-day
Yeah,
basis.
awesome. And you've worked with some very high caliber clients. Like I'd read that you'd worked with Lamborghini and Lionel Messi as well.
Yeah,
very
we
interesting.
did that was a really cool one. That was last year. We did the Messi store, his clothing brand. Obviously never going to speak to Lionel Messi. I don't even think he would know who the hell we were, but worked with his team on the Messi store doing CRO, which was a very cool experience. Over the years, we've had some really cool one-off projects as well. We built Kim Kardashian a page back in the day. We built Manny Pacquiao pages, T-Pain, Rob Lowe, the actor. We built his profile for men, his NutriCare brand pages. Some really cool clients.
And how do projects of that caliber come about when we're talking about, because we're not just talking about high caliber businesses, we're talking about high caliber, the individuals behind the businesses as well. How are you sourcing those projects? Are they coming in-house through referrals? What does that look like?
Relationships, yeah. It's always been through typically a media agency or someone in the space who follows us or knows us or has worked with us. We are very blessed with inbound. We're not very good at outbound. That's something we're trying to tackle in 25 is the outbound side of things. But inbound's always been our kind of our strongest form of getting leads and referrals, etc. But no, those high caliber clients have always come from a referral. I think there's a few leads we've had that have just landed in our inbox from the site, and we're like, how the hell did they kind of get get in? But typically those ones come from relationships, basically.
And presumably being a very niche service agency, so focusing on one thing and doing that one thing incredibly well, that sets you up perfectly for strategic partnerships with other agencies that have access to the clientele. Has that been a significant part of the growth, like partnerships with other agencies who have access to the ideal client?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we work closely with several either softwares or agencies who kind of we go hand in hand with, and we're kind of very compatible with and perform very well together. We have a mutual friend, Ollie, for example, that saw with us. We have lots of success stories together because he drives the media at a good cost per click, and we will then convert that click into a customer at a good profit margin. So we tend to work very well with media agencies. Also within the kind of group that we're now a part of, email and retention is huge. So we kind of work very well with several retention companies. And also software. So we have really good relationships with people like Upcart, for example, Aftersell, who are like a in-car upsell. No Commerce, which is a post-purchase survey software. Convert.io, skyrocket.com, the actual software we use to run the kind of script. I think as we've grown, we put a bit more pressure on them to send us business because we're kind of, one of their enterprise clients, for example, and we send them a lot of business because I think partnerships is a two-way thing, right? So, it's something typically I've done because I've always sat on the kind of sales and marketing. I'm technically CEO, but my kind of strength is sales, marketing, direction. I always say this, but like I work out where we're going to go, and Andy kind of delivers it. He's very good at the delivery side and the people, the processes, and ops. That's definitely not my strength. I think it's something that we're going to, again, 25 is a big focus on partnerships as well. We're going to bring someone in because I've done it typically and through our kind of leadership team. But yeah, I'm literally interviewing for a partnership person now, which will be good. Yeah,
that's great. And for someone watching this, because obviously majority are going to be agency owners and they're thinking, well, I would like to develop stronger partnerships. What do you think the keys are to building a really strong and fruitful partnership?
I think a lot of it comes down to networking. Getting out to the events, even putting events on yourself, dinners, etc., and just inviting the right people. Me and Ollie co-host some great events together, and just building those relationships, really. I think, again, like if I was an agency now, look at your tech stack, for example, and look where you're spending a lot of money, and there's no shame in getting in touch with their partnership department and saying, hey, like, I don't know if you know me, I might be a small fish, but I'm still the fish that kind of sends you a lot of business or money every month. I want to be on your radar. I think one thing we've, again, always done very well on that side as well is kind of just building communities and building events and things like that. And yeah, I think don't be afraid to reach out to people. The worst thing they're going to say is no. But most big softwares, most agencies will want to talk to you because I think with partnerships as well, like I've had so many partnership calls where it's like, hey, we're going to refer each other business, it's going to be great. And then you end the call and you never speak to that person again, or you just don't do it. So I think if there's like a natural fit where like you're really confident and send some people some business, I don't think then there's a really good in of like, hey, I sent you this and this, like, let's talk. Is there anyone you can send to me? But yeah, just reach out. Yeah,
leading with the right foot forward. I think I always say to people, if you can have one conversation with one new person every week, then you're going to, within the space of 2 years, 3 years, you're making some serious connections that are going to be very fruitful. But most people are just afraid. They think they're wasting their time by speaking to new people, and they think they're so busy they don't have the time to do so, but don't realise that often we can be one conversation away from like a significant change in the business. I can't count how many times I've met one person, and then the next month we're like, wow, how has this just happened from that one event we went to and that relationship that we built? And all of a sudden you have a completely different business and in some cases even changing direction.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's also with partnerships, I think it's really important to like understand what that person wants because there's no one size fits all with partnerships. Some people want you pat my back, I'll pat yours. Some people want cash, some people want referral agreements, but it's finding out what that individual person wants and like what makes them tick. And I think like we have a fractional CMO, for example. I was with him last night, great guy called Mihul, and he sends us a lot of work, but we pay him an affiliate commission. I know that's like a very good chunk of his monthly revenue is us paying him. And like, I don't ever want to not pay him because I want him to feel like if that goes away, I'm not going to be making as much money. Like I want to be sending ConversionWise, and he knows we get great results for his clients. So I think that's one example. But when then you've got like again Ollie at SOAR, where it's just a really good partnership because I know if I'm sending someone to him, he's going to do really well for them, and I also know that if he onboards someone and they're at a stage where they need us, he's going to send them to us. So I think it's just working out. You don't need hundreds of relationships. I just think those kind of 4 or 5 key relationships that you have with solid partners that you understand how they work and what they want out of it, and just stay close to that person.
Definitely. Yeah. Just like it's almost assessing which complementary industries there are, because you don't want multiple ad partners, for example.
No,
you don't want multiple. You ideally want to have almost exclusivity with a certain number of really fruitful partners, but there are so many different verticals that you could go down for partnership, especially if your service is niche, which is something that everybody should explore. So what would you say is, for you looking back on the business, what would you say is like one significant client success story that really stands out to you that you're particularly proud of?
I think the coolest testimonial I ever got was from Ezra Firestone. And Ezra, I've known Ezra for quite a while, back in the affiliate days. I think he was a guest on our community years ago, but we were never kind of close. And I always remember he hit me up and he was like, Oliver, I've got these couple of brands and I want you to run CRO on them. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Because like Ezra, to me, is not necessarily a mentor, because, you know, I don't have that relationship with him. He's a friend, but he's someone that I've looked up to online for sure, especially within the CRO space. You know, he kind of put CRO on the map several years ago. And I think for him, there's a massive testimonial front and center of our site where he kind of says, like, he filmed it in a gym. I remember he's like sweating on this camera. He's training for some jiu-jitsu thing, and he's like saying like ConversionWise are the best agency I've ever used, and that for me was like incredible. And I think just because he's so well known, obviously, you know, we can leverage that review very, very well. But yeah, we ran CRO for his two brands, Overtone and Boom by Cindy Joseph, which again I think because he built in public and like a lot of people know those brands. It's a really cool case study that I think we generated, for both brands across last year, we generated an additional £3.8 million in revenue just through CRO. So again, it's like the same people going to the site, just making more per person that goes. And that for me was a really cool one.
Is there one easy thing that people can do today to improve their conversion rate on their website? If you were to think about the lowest friction, lowest hanging fruit.
I think one thing that anyone can do if you own a brand is go and purchase your own product. Like a lot of people don't do this. Like just go on your site now, buy your product and see if there's any blockers. See if you're frustrated. See if there's anything you as a customer would do differently. Or, you know, give your phone to your mate and watch them purchase your product and see if there's anything that, you know, doesn't look well on mobile. But I think when it comes down to best practices, they definitely exist. It's just around human psychology and CRO principles. I mean, anyone above the fold, so the bit that loads on your desktop or your mobile when you first go to the site, can tick boxes. I think the main thing that we see people get wrong is like they become very fixated with their product, whether it's a course, a mentorship program, a physical product. It's always shiny object. It's always like, we're great because we're this, but they forget to actually articulate to the prospect what the prospect gets out of it. And I think this is something that a lot of people do wrong, is like, they're like, oh, you know, we're the new shiny object, instead of saying, we're going to get you results. And I think anyone can go on their site above the fold and switch that headline from a very much a feature-related headline to like a benefit. What's the outcome for that prospect? What are they going to get? Are they going to make more money? Are they going to save time? Is it going to be convenience for them? Like, what's the outcome? I think again above that fold, social proof is huge. So it doesn't have to be a massive testimonial review, even if it's like the Trustpilot with the 5 stars, but like taking that one step further, instead of saying like rated 4.9 out of 5 stars, going and saying like rated 4.9 out of 5 stars by 100 plus happy customers. Like you can always kind of take things a little bit further with CRO. Trust and credibility is one thing. So we work in we live in a generation where like you and I would probably buy from Amazon 10 times over the next week, and we do not think twice about buying on Amazon. We just trust it. We just know the parcel's going to turn up. If it's not, we're going to get a refund. I don't care. Like, I know it's safe and secure. All my payment details are there. Double click, it's done. But when you are an independent store, for example, or a course or SaaS or whatever, where the customer doesn't have that level of trust, because I don't know you, I've just seen a cold ad on Facebook and I'm just clicking it. You have to build that trust and credibility up as soon as someone lands on the page. And one of the best ways to do this, we call it like a trust policy bar, but it sits just below. If you imagine you've got your kind of logo and navigation on top, add a little, not necessarily, it's kind of like a notice bar that sits just below the navigation. And just think of like 3 or 4 things that make you trusted and real as a business. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's the year you're established. Maybe that's how many happy customers you've served, or how many people have enrolled in your course and you've helped. Maybe if you're a physical product, it's that you're made in the UK. Maybe it's you're vegan friendly. Maybe it's you offer a satisfaction guarantee, or you have 24/7 support. But whatever those 3 to 4 statements are that make you trusted as a brand, rotate them on that trust and policy bar, and instantly now we've gone from like, oh, I don't trust this site, to bang, I'm landing on there. There's a huge value proposition, a headline that's benefit and outcome driven. I've got some social proof with the form of a review or some stars. And then I've got this trust instantly ticked because they are a real business. They've been established since 2012. They've served 100,000 customers. They offer a satisfaction guarantee. And therefore now, as a consumer, I'm more likely to purchase because I've ticked those kind of boxes. And I think above the fold, those are the kind of three that I typically look for. It's like value proposition, trust, credibility, social proof.
That's awesome. That's such great advice, especially usually we will see e-commerce brands doing that, and e-commerce brands take CRO a lot more serious because they've got huge volume.
Yeah.
We find agencies or even just agencies in general will focus on like the headline, focus on maybe the VSL and so on, but not so much on those smaller details that a brand will think about with larger volume. But it doesn't matter. The volumes are relevant. The conversion rate's the conversion rate.
Yeah. Again, it comes down to like a lot of CRO is honestly common sense. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Whenever I get very passionate about it, I talk about it all the time, of course. But like whenever I say these things on podcasts or webinars or whatever, everyone's like, oh yeah, that does make sense. And like, why wouldn't we do that? Like, it's not like there's not like science to it. It's just putting things in front of people that make them at ease to buy whatever it may be. And yeah, you're right. Like, I think in the e-com space, that's we work primarily with e-com brands, but there are best practices for anything. Look at our agency site. We've kind of ticked those boxes of like the correct layout. Anyone with an agency, the best, I get asked this question quite a lot. And I was speaking at an event a couple of weeks ago in London around four agencies, and I kind of broke down the hypothesis of a high converting agency site. And for agency, you're absolutely right. VSL works very, very well above the fold. But what you want to do is you want to go problem, authority, solution. So we always start with like, what's the problem? So if you go to our site, for example, it's like we kind of compete against things like Meta, creative. Like we're always saying, like, Meta's getting harder. iOS 14 came in. Creative is expensive, and blah blah blah. We're kind of associating with our ideal customer's problem because they read that and they're like, shit, yeah, Meta is expensive, and tracking is hard, and attribution is difficult, and that they associate with that problem. And then we go to authority and we're like, okay, we know there's a problem. That's why we created ConversionWise. We kind of then showcase how many customers we've had, how much we're the top-rated CRO agency on Trustpilot, etc. So they all of a sudden now trust us before we then present that solution. Then we go solution, and it's like introducing conversion rate optimization. Why not make more money for the people that are coming to your site instead of paying, trying to scale, because everyone's so obsessed with scaling? Why don't we not just make that margin from actually turning more clicks into customers? So anyone with an agency, that's a really good way of doing it. It's like find the problem that your customer has and annotate it really simply so that they land on your site and they're like, oh yeah, I do have that problem. Then put your authority there. So, establish authority by saying who you are and why you think you are the solution to that problem. And then you present the solution. And that's a really effective way of converting or booking calls and leads for agencies.
Yeah, that's amazing. I noticed straight away when I was on your website just how much you demonstrate the reviews and so on that you have, and the leverage that you have because that's really all we have as an agency. That's what we need to stack very early on is the leverage that we have, and we have that in the form of reviews, case studies, testimonials.
Yeah.
You've got over 400 reviews at this point. Presumably it means you've worked with significantly more businesses, unless you've really squeezed the juice out of every single one. Do you have a process for collecting reviews? We talk about something called peak satisfaction when you get the first quick win. Is there a time where you're jumping on someone? Yeah. What does your review collection process look like?
Yeah, great question. We're actually running something at the moment for this, which is quite timely. So we put a lot of focus on reviews. We are the top-rated CRO agency on Trustpilot, but that's because we put a lot of focus internally on getting reviews. We have tried a lot of things, NPS score, and then sending out if they say, we love the experience. Okay, would you mind now sharing this on Trustpilot? That kind of works. But what I found the best, and I don't know if many other agencies do this, and this is just something, we're quite a scrappy agency. We kind of test different things and do different things. We run internal review contests. So we put all of our account managers or all of our delivery team inside specific, I could literally show you, but a specific Slack channel. And this week, for example, I was in our studio, put on a stupid Christmas hat, and shot to camera and said to the team, I said, look, we want to run a week Trustpilot contest. You guys do fantastic work for your clients. We know that. We see the comms inside the Slack channels, but we want that to then go onto Trustpilot so we can obviously then leverage it, and we want to be proud and look at that and see what we do as an agency. So we're going to run a contest. Every review you get, we're going to pay you an additional bonus, and then we do a leaderboard where we kind of have the top three, whoever finishes in the top three get cash prizes as well. So we kind of incentivize our team to go out and get reviews. Now, this really works, but you have to stay on top of it. So what I'm doing every single couple of hours, I'm like in that channel, I'm like, bang, who's next? When's the next one coming in? Right, where are we getting this next review from? And then, if one comes in, I'm pasting it and I'm like, boom, come on, let's go. Right, who's got the next one? I'll also offer a double bonus on the first review, because then people go out and try and get the first one because they get double commission on the first review. And then we just run that for a week, shut it down, and then pay out, and everyone gets a nice, for example, Christmas bonus. We've typically done this a few times internally, and it works really, really well, because I think it's the same with everything. Like, if I was to say to you or leave me a review, oh yeah, I'll do that for you, Oliver, and like you probably wouldn't get around to it. But if I'm like, oh, I need this review now, could you do this for me now? Like, I'll put it in front of you, like, and do it. Then I think there's just more chance that you do it, and that's why we kind of put a little time limit on it, incentivize the team, because then it becomes really important for them to go get reviews. And it's like, I think it should come from them, because they're the ones who deal with the clients. And like, I get nothing more. I get a really big kick when I see our Trustpilot reviews and people are mentioning my team members, because I love it, because it just means they're doing a great job. It's good for them. They feel really good. It's validation. But yeah, I don't know if that's, I don't know any other agencies who do this, but running contests for reviews works very, very well.
Yeah, that's a lovely system. We do something not as nearly as sophisticated as that. It's a kind of a primitive version of that, but that's absolutely awesome. I'm going to pick your brain on that off camera, because I'd like to understand a little bit more about that. Amazing. Okay, but you've got a big team. You've got a lot of people. You've worked with a lot of clients. So you are between 60 and 70 team members. We were talking off camera that you are actually a virtual business, in the sense that you do have the ability to go into office if you'd like to, but most people work virtually, which I think is quite different to, let's say, Ollie we mentioned, and and other companies. Lots of agencies will prefer to have that physical presence so they can keep control and so on. What was your decision-making process why did you decide to stay virtual rather than go down the physical route? Yeah,
good question. We haven't always been remote. We've always had remote team members, but just before COVID, I think we've currently got, I think there's 13 or 14 of us in the UK, and we were all in an office, bar a couple. And then COVID hit, and we took this big office out, and we had like an office for 20, and it was just me and my dog in this office. No one was allowed in. And we do like biannual appraisals. So we appraised everyone, and we said, what do you think about your working conditions? And this was when everyone was now working from home because they were forced to. And we came out of lockdown, and everyone just said, I prefer working from home. Me and Andy have always had this, I guess, very kind of flexible mindset of like, if you're getting results as an employee, we're happy. Like, I don't need to micromanage you. I don't need to put time tracking on your computer. I don't really care if you want to run your day a bit differently. If you want to get up and go walk your dog, and you want to go into the gym in the middle of the day, who am I to tell you not to do that? If you're getting results, great. Like I think that's a fair exchange. So yeah, we went with it, and we kind of stayed fully remote. And yeah, we're now, as you said, kind of 60, 70 people all around Eastern Europe, in the UK, other places, and sorry, I forgot the question. What was the question you asked?
Where you chose to stay there, which you have answered through being in COVID.
Yeah, I think everyone kind of just said they preferred doing that. And I again, we were chatting off camera, I'm not someone who, I can't work in a busy environment. My head just doesn't, I think that's probably why I was a bit of an idiot at school, because I just got distracted so easily. So I love our setup. We still, I think it's quite hard to have a fully remote company but remain trying to keep that company culture intact, and I think that's something that's really important to me and Andy. And I think that's something that hopefully we've done very well. We get very good feedback from people who come into the company and say, oh, wow, we've never worked for an agency like this. Like, we just love the culture, we love the people. And again, I think that comes into like us giving them that flexibility. One thing we do every morning, which is really cool, had a very good friend called Nathan who taught us this. Owns a telecoms company, but I think I can't remember who he got this from. Infusionsoft, I think. Anyway, it's called Positive Focus. I don't know if you've heard of it. So 9:30 every single morning. Obviously, there's a couple of time zones. We have people in Argentina and stuff who can't make that call, but 9:30 UK time every day in our calendar is a pre-booked call. It's called Positive Focus. The whole team's invited. Now, some days you might get 6 people. Some days you might get 30 people. But everyone's invited to that call at 9:30. Me and Andy try and be on there as much as we can, and so does everyone else. And what we do on that call is I will wait till 9:31 until the kickoff, and I'll look around the Google Meet, and I'll say, right, Alex, off you go. And Alex will start by saying for literally 10, 20 seconds why he's positive for the day. And it sounds really like cliche and cheesy and like a little bit awkward, but I promise you it's so good. And he'll go like, it could be anything. He could just go, I had the best baked beans on toast last night, it was amazing, and I've just got a coffee and I've got some calls ahead and I'm ready to go. Or, you know, it could just be like, do you know what, I'm not looking forward to that call, but I'm positive because I'm on here, and you know, I'm liking everyone's face, and that jumper's nice, or whatever it may be. Or it might be that, you know, I've just closed my biggest client. It doesn't have to be work related, but you just say for 20, 30 seconds why you're positive, and you pass it on to the next person. And it goes through the whole thing, and sometimes the call can be 15 minutes, sometimes it can be 5, depending on how many is on the call. But it doesn't take long. At the end of that call, I just then kind of sum up, and I said, right then, guys, thank you so much. Everyone have a great morning, really appreciate it, off we go. And we then go off and work. And it sounds really, like I say, cheesy, but I think when you're working remote, it's very easy not to talk to anyone and just get deep into your work and like become in a kind of fixed state. And I think that call just, especially for me, like that first conversation of the day, I mean, I've got kids and a wife at home, but like that first kind of conversation on Positive Focus just gets you buzzing for the day. You come off that call, like it sounds really weird, but like you come off that call and you're like, all right, let's go. I'm ready now. I'm ready for the day. I'm ready to speak to people and ready to do things. And I think particularly, I don't know about you, but for men, like we can be quite miserable in the morning. And I think after that call, I'm like, okay, let's go. So I think we do little things like that just brings us closer together. And like I say, we have these Slack channels, and I think a lot of agencies do, but we have like a feedback and wins channel where we celebrate everything. Like I want all my managers to be calling out their juniors in that channel for great work and just celebrating wins, whether it's like you just smashed an audit call or you just had a conversation with a client and they're happy, or whatever it is. Like that channel's pinging off every single day, and I want all my leaders and all my managers to like just be calling everything out, and I do the same for them. Like, someone just smashed this, someone just did this, like, and just breed that kind of positivity, I guess.
Nice. That's awesome. It's like a hard reset, that call in the morning.
It's great.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's great, because most people get in, do a bit of deep work, and then they're on PF, and they're kind of, you might be a bit miserable that day, but I promise you, like, the amount of people that have said, like, or they say it on the call, because we're very open, and they're like, you know, and I'll say it sometimes, like, I was miserable this morning, but you know what, now I'm feeling good, thank you guys, like, really appreciate it, let's go, like, and it just gets you going. Yeah, nice. I like it.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've been with having everyone so everywhere, which is very similar to us, limited team in the UK, rest everywhere. Yeah. Do you find in-person meetings hard? Do you ever host retreats, get-togethers?
So we are going to do our first one next year. I think that is one thing that is difficult, especially with different kind of countries and time zones and trying to, you know, fly everything. I think the logistics is going to be very hard to do this, but I'm looking forward to planning it. But we're going to do our first one next year. We do fly people in from kind of Europe and around here on occasions, but I personally don't fly, so I'm petrified of flying. So I never fly.
So you don't travel at all?
No, I travel, but I don't fly.
By boat?
Boat, train, car. Yeah. So because I'm very fortunate at the position I'm in and have an amazing team, I will travel. For example, in the summer, we're going away for 7 weeks. Like normally we go to Europe for a couple of months in the summer with my 2 beautiful little girls and my wife, and we just get the train or the ferry, and then we drive through France into Spain and Switzerland and Italy. And like I've traveled a lot in Europe, but I won't. I've never. Well, last time I flew, I was 14. So
interesting.
Yeah, a long time ago. So that is difficult from a business perspective, obviously, but also from a personal perspective. But
does that write off parts of the world forever to you?
I don't know. I'm very comfortable speaking about this now. It used to be something where like I would get so angry I couldn't even talk about it. I would be like, I don't want to talk about it. Like I can't talk about it because I think probably because I was like I didn't fly, and it's like I was regretting not seeing parts of the world, like you kind of said. There's places, of course there is. There's places that I really want to go to. New York being number one. My co-founder Andy absolutely loves flying. He's obsessed with flying, which is funny. And he's just got back from America, and he goes quite a lot. And like he knows me better than anyone. And he was like, "You would love New York. Like I love London. Like wherever I go, I want to find a rooftop bar." Like, and he was like, In New York, it's like abundant. Like every bar has a rooftop bar, so I think I would love it. But it sounds stupid. You can now get a 6-day cruise to New York.
Okay.
So I think as my girls grow up, we probably will start doing things like cruises. You can even now. The 2 places I really want to go to is New York and the Maldives, and you can actually do a cruise that does both. So I think again, because I'm hopefully, and don't take it for granted. You never know what's happening tomorrow, but I'm very fortunate that we're in a good position now and can hopefully afford those kind of things moving forward. So yeah, I think we will. But yeah, it's definitely like a lot of opportunities that I've had to turn down in the past.
Yeah,
like
fine.
Even in business, I'm lucky that I've spoke at a lot of events and things in Europe and Barcelona and France and stuff like that. But like when you're offered to speak on stage in places like Bangkok or New York and all expenses paid and stuff, and I have to say no, that is a bit of a kick in the teeth.
Brutal. Yeah, fine. Yeah. So I really want to unpack your acquisition with the business. But before we do, obviously you've built yourself up to the point where you were able to get acquired this year, which is not an easy thing to do as an agency. It's a difficult business model, and I would like to understand from your perspective what you think the key has been to being able to get ConversionWise to the level that you've got it to, so it's attractive enough to even be able to be acquired in the first place.
Yeah, for us, we did things very, looking back, very stupidly, I guess, for 8 to 9 years. So for 8 to 9 years, we were called the landing page guys. All we sold was landing pages, which was good because we did want to kind of niche down and focus on becoming like the go-to. And like until someone proved me wrong, I think we've designed more landing pages than any other agency on the planet, like 8,000 plus. So we just became fixated with that. I'm sure you're aware, Daniel Priestley.
Yeah.
So I think that was anyone who's starting an agency or who's not yet at scale, I would 100% recommend following Daniel Priestley, but also buying his books, Key Person of Influence, oversubscribed. Yeah. But for me, I read Key Person of Influence probably when it came out, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago, and became fixated with the idea that he pitches in that book of like becoming the key person of influence. And like, that's why we do very well with inbound, because I've always been obsessed with like, I want to be the guy for, typically back in the day it was landing pages, now it's CRO. And like to the day, like if I see someone else on Twitter, you get people who tweet, then they'll say like, oh, can you recommend any CRO agencies? And like, if it's someone else, I'm still so pissed off. Like, I'm really pissed off. I'm like, why? Like, I'm putting all this content out. But I think that's what drives me.
So you and Carl have a rivalry then?
Carl
Weiss.
Yeah. I'm not going to comment on that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. I don't know if we can share that on the pod.
We can go back. We can retract to the previous question.
We'll do that after the pod. He does very good work. He's a good guy, but he burned a few bridges, put it that way. So yeah, I just became obsessed with kind of becoming this kind of key person of influence within the space. But to our kind of downfall, well, not downfall, but like the negative to that was we sold landing pages at a one-time payment. So for 8 to 9 years, we started every single month at 0. And that is brutal when you have to like pick your sales team up every single month to like go again when you're starting from zero. So it was all about like selling. And I think again that's like we do very well on sales, but the second we switched about 2-3 years ago to ConversionWise and we started the ongoing CRO model and built recurring monthly revenue, I think that was when we became an agency that could scale and that someone would be attractive in. The way so we sold to a group called Supergroup, amazing guys, really amazing guys, but it's all about building up that monthly revenue between the agencies that are within the group. So anyone who's not doing monthly recurring revenue, I would just try and see how you can do that. Like even if you're a web design agency, maybe it's that you can offer maintenance or hosting or something, but you become way more attractive to possible acquisition when you can showcase we have this retention and this much money is kind of coming in, and that's how we kind of has scaled up. And your multiple is going to be way more than if you're just kind of starting every month from zero. So that was a huge shift for us, was like, building up that kind of monthly recurring.
But with conversion, with CRO,
Yeah.
probably an ignorant question, but how do you maintain long-term retention and minimal churn? I can imagine that the motive for brands, at least before they understand the service properly, they think, oh, you can come in, you can fix the business, tinker with it, you can improve our conversion rate, and then go away. But you're obviously retaining clients for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
I don't know what your average like kind of retention duration is, but yeah, what are you doing to keep clients for longer?
Yeah, it's definitely I would say our average kind of lifetime of a client is probably less than an email agency, for example, or maybe a media buying agency. But it's still probably more than we would assume. It's probably between 9 to 12 months. But we then have clients who've been with us for 3 to 4 years. Yeah. So I think it's, for us, there's always stuff to test, like literally always stuff to test. Like even when you've done a test, you can retest the test with another idea. And typically what happens with CRO is when we get, don't forget this is an incremental increases in revenue. So it's not like it's they're spending more to get more money. They are just making more money for everyone who comes to their site. So they all of a sudden have more cash. What typically happens, they take that cash, give it to the media buyer. The media buyer then scales up. More people come through. More people are coming into the shop front, and we then kind of start again. So there's always like an influx of customers that we need to be surveying, we need to be speaking to, we need to be looking into things like GA4 and analytics and seeing where the kind of bottlenecks are and where people are dropping off. Then stores will utilize us for product launches, or we'll come and we'll say, okay, we think you should be trying a build a bundle page, or we think you should be trying subscription, or let's try in-car upsells or cross-sells, or there's always something. And we are not that a typical CRO agency is this, but CRO is way more than like, does this convert better than this? We call ourselves like a performance agency with CRO as our framework. So we will, because we've had 8 years experience, we will build you funnels, we'll build you landing pages. If we think that the problem's actually not on store, it's actually the attribution, for example, we'll work with Ollie and we'll build out a pre-sale, like a listicle or an advertorial or something that sits in between your store and the click. So there is always stuff to test. And again, there's always data points if you're doing high volume that give you test ideas. And that's typically flow of traffic and actually surveying your customers. The most important thing you can do, anyone, I think, in any business, is survey your customers. So one thing we do as a non-negotiable on all stores is post-purchase. So after the people have purchased, and you've probably seen this before when you bought from a Shopify store or a store online, is on the thank you step, the confirmation step, you ask a couple of questions. So you say, thank you so much for your purchase. Would you be really kind to answer these couple of questions? It just helps us improve our store. And a lot of people get this wrong, because a lot of e-com brands will say, how did you find us? Or how did you get here today? And it's like Facebook ad versus offshore. I think those questions are wasted, because you can almost do that with the attribution and tracking. What you need to be asking is, why did you purchase today? Gives you some really good insight. But most importantly, what almost made you stop purchasing today? Or why did you almost not purchase today? And that question is going to give you so much leverage and arsenal, because what you'll find is that so many people will say the same things. They'll say something like, oh, we didn't know that you delivered to our area, or, oh, we just were unsure of how long it took to get results, for example, if it's a supplement or a fitness program or whatever it may be. But you can then take those responses and then you can mitigate that friction point or that objection on the front end of the website. For example, if someone said it was a supplement product, for example, and a lot of people that you service post-purchase said, why did you almost not purchase today? And they say, oh, because we didn't know how long it took to get results. All of a sudden now, above the fold on our homepage, we can say, get results within 7 weeks. And you see how that objection is now handled? And someone, subconsciously will now come to your site and they won't have that friction in their mind. Whereas in the past, they might not have purchased because they were like, oh, how long does it take? Again, it's kind of common sense. Most people think the same. Your demographic mainly will think the same. And there'll be like 70% cross of like the friction, the objections, the wants, the needs, the outcomes that these people want. But until you survey them and ask them, you won't have that kind of that in your locker to be able to answer on the front end of the site. Yeah. But that's a constant thing.
Yeah, it's ever growing. That's great. So you sold, and you've obviously taken lessons from Affiliate Fix and the first acquisition that you had. But you've decided again that it was the right time to sell this company. Why was it the right time to sell? And if you'd already made some money previous and presumably the agency's doing well, what is the motive for that acquisition?
Yeah. Again, it comes down to personal kind of situations. I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all. Don't forget that we've had this agency for 12, 13 years. So me and Andy kind of turned around 2-3 years ago when we rebranded to ConversionWise, and we sat down, we said, before ConversionWise, we very much had what I would call kind of like a lifestyle business. It was brilliant, like great, not too many overheads, probably had about 20 on the team. It was very nice. We could work from home, we could travel, we could live comfortably, not earning loads of money, but a good amount of money to live comfortably. But we sat down after about 8-9 years and we said to each other, do we want to do another 8-9 years of this? Like, is this what we want out of our next 10 years of life? Like, we're both very ambitious. And I think it's very easy to get stuck into the day-to-day. Like, 8 years just went by and I didn't even fucking blink. Like, it's the same with the 12 years. It doesn't feel like 12 years. It feels like I still have a startup. And I think that's good. But we then rebranded to ConversionWise. And I'm a huge fan of being accountable. So when we rebranded as ConversionWise, there's a beautiful cocktail bar in Bristol called the Milk Thistle, so like a speakeasy kind of private place. And we kind of put our money where our mouth is. It wasn't loads of money, but we maybe spent like 3-4 grand putting on this brilliant night, cocktails, drinks, and we invited all of our families, mine and Andy's families, all of our team members, and a couple of like friends and mentors that we wanted to be in that room. And I've still got a video of it, and I really like this story because I stood up on that stage at that rebrand. It was like the big rebrand to ConversionWise, and it meant a lot to us, not to other people, but to us it meant a lot. And we had all our loved ones and family in that room. And I stood up and I did a little bit of a talk, and I promised to everyone that whatever happens in the next couple of years, we are going to take this business seriously and we're going to take it to where we haven't taken it before. And I think we then just had this drive of like, let's push this. And we got introduced to the group who acquired us via a kind of mutual friend. Do you know Joe Williams, Version 2?
Version 2.
Yeah, so Joe runs a very big native advertising network, and he's an old friend of mine through kind of the industry, but now he's just a good friend. And Joe kind of Blue 14, who's the company who originally invests in the companies, in the agencies, invested in Joe. And then Joe and another agency formed to create the supergroup. And we were just around those people. Like Joe would introduce us. We would come down to London, for example, and just meet the guys and have chats. And there was nothing like formal. There was nothing like, we want to make you an offer and, suits and lawyers and sat around, like nothing like that at all. It was just very easy. And we just built a relationship with the guys first and foremost. And then they said, look, I think I think I had a call with Jim, the chairman, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and it just wasn't the right time. But we stayed in touch, and we kind of kept networking with them. We kept going to their events and stuff. And then when we thought it was the right time, and they did, they kind of made us an offer. And for me and Andy, it was like, are all the boxes ticked? Because again, we don't want to do this for another 12 years, just running ConversionWise. We have bigger goals, bigger ambitions. We want to get excited and do cool things with cool people. And they were just really good people, like genuinely, like just really nice. You can go have a beer with them. They're just great guys. They're all kind of similar age or even younger. Like the CEO, for example, is 26, like just amazing young guy. Like I don't know how these guys do it. Like Ollie, for example, I think he's young as well. Bear in mind, I was still a chef by the age of 26. That's why I say that. Like I think it's amazing what these guys are doing now. And it just was just a really nice fit. Like the deal was good. We all agreed a deal that I think was favourable for everyone. Everyone got a good deal. We were kind of in a rising tide at the time, so they got a good deal because we were growing. We got a good deal because we agreed, I'm happy to share, but we agreed, we took some equity in the supergroup. We're directors on the board of the supergroup, so we're now a bigger part of the M&A play with all of these agencies, and what we want to do in the next kind of X amount of years is very, very exciting. But they gave us the chance to maximize our growth. So over the next 2 years, we kind of have like an earn-out, which is quite normal, but based on kind of performance, because we are kind of growing rapidly at the moment, which again is good because we get to maximize the exit, but it's in their favor because the more revenue and EBITDA we do, the bigger the supergroup shares are going to be worth. So everyone kind of wins, and it was just a really good fit. Like if we were to sell to some sort of corporation, and like I say, and you're sat around desks in your shirt and your tie, and you can't have a beer with these people, and they give you like really strict targets and don't let you run your business, then we wouldn't have sold. But it's literally the opposite. They just give us freedom to go run our business. We're incentivized, monetary-wise, to go and do the best we can. And we obviously then are part of the bigger picture, and we're now part of this group. I think for a long time, me and Andy, like, we went to events and we did meetups and stuff, but we didn't really know the London scene. Like, we didn't really network with people in the UK. We didn't really have UK clients. We were mainly US based because we had Affiliate Fix, and all the kind of customers who came from there were US. So for us, it was like, again, it was really cool just to have this new network in London. And we were speaking off air. We've got like a co-working space here in London and one in Brighton, and it's nice for our team because they can come down. We have like a beach volleyball contest every year in Brighton Beach, and Fatboy Slim comes down, and then you have some drinks and stuff, and it was just a nice thing for me and Andy to go like, do we want to do ConversionWise as it is for another 3 to 5 years? No. Do we want to go on this new journey for the next 3 to 5 years? Yeah, that sounds fun.
Nice. So it's like capital release in the short term, and in the long term, it's the prospect of something even bigger.
Yeah, and being part of something bigger.
What's the vision for Supergroup?
So M&A. So they want to acquire. The whole vision is kind of like becoming the biggest group for the best agencies, basically. So yeah, what that means in the future, it's very kind of dependent on who we acquire and what we acquire. But yeah, it's an aggressive kind of M&A play. Combining some of the best agencies in Europe, basically.
Amazing.
And exciting.
All like kind of individual niche rather than not like non-conflicting services? Yeah,
but then also if there's the opportunity to, for example, acquire another CRO agency that just naturally would come under ConversionWise, we definitely will look at it and are looking at sort of similar scenarios. But at the moment, there's email and retention, there's native ads and performance, there's CRO. And yeah, there's a couple I can't share, but a couple are kind of coming in quite soon as well, which is exciting. But I think there's no scenario where like another CRO agency would come in and we're almost competing. It would be like if they come in, let's merge, or let's kind of take that on.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's
awesome. Good. The age-old, I'd rather have a slice of a watermelon than a whole grape.
Yeah. Love that. Very cool. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
For us, like I say, it was just like we could have kept plodding along and doing, we're doing very well, but it's a journey. It's a bit of fun. I think the money is a byproduct of the journey for me, and I know that sounds really cheesy, but like, I just enjoy doing cool shit with cool people, and I just think I just like them. They're great guys, and we all aligned on personal and business goals, and like I say, I feel like we're in a startup again, which is cool.
It's the best energy. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the best energy.
Exactly.
Hopefully, we always feel like that.
Yeah, right.
Infinitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm forever in that startup mindset where we can take risks and we can do crazy shit and we can throw shit at the wall.
Absolutely, and they enable us to do that. There's no, like I say, there's no micromanaging or hand tying from their side. We're all, competing with each other as agencies now to make the most profit and do the cool shit. So it's good. Yeah, awesome. There's that kind of like competition mentality as well, which is great.
So how are you juggling everything, and how have you found juggling everything over the years with having a wife, having children, and 2 daughters?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like? Is that difficult with running a busy? I'd say that almost as a selfish question, because I'm now 30 years old. I probably won't have children in 3 to 5 years from now, but the idea of it right now, I can't even imagine with running the business. So, what is that process like?
Yeah, I met Josie, I'm going to get this wrong and she's going to kill me. I'm going to say about 14 years ago. I think we've been together. And she met me when I was still a chef. So we kind of knew each other back then. And she went through the whole kind of first sale and now this. And I was very selfish in the fact that I said to Josie that she's the one. I love her. She's amazing. But I didn't want to get married or have children until I was 30 because I had this other goal, which I've shared obviously with the exit. And she was very, I guess, trusting to allow me to go do that. And she was like, because I think to a lot of people, male, female, whatever, like would like the security of marriage or whatever it may be earlier on if you're with someone for a long time. But we were together for 7 years before I even engaged. We even got engaged. But I told her, I said, we're not doing anything till we're 30, selfishly, because I have this one goal, and this one goal is going to set us up. So she kind of believed in me and gave me the freedom to do that. And then when we were 30, just when I was 30, I proposed. We got married, and then we had our first born 4 years ago. Poppy is 4. And yeah, I think I'm very lucky. I'm incredibly lucky, like to have 2 amazing, beautiful girls, and to have Josie as my partner, because my wife, because she's been exactly that, a partner. And a lot of younger people now ask me, who I kind of mentor, etc., who are in relationships, and they're like, well, what is the perfect setup? How does that work? And I've always been hugely kind of like ambitious and entrepreneurial and want to go do this. And Josie loves all that, but she's also very passionate about just being a mum, and just she's happy with that. And I think, I don't know because I haven't had that situation, but I think if she was like massively like, not saying she's not driven, but like if she was massively like, I want to go start a business, I want to do this, and borderline selfish as I've been, I don't know if it would work, because I don't know if we would clash. I couldn't tell you because I've not been in that situation. But I think what was really important for me and Josie was like, we were a team. So we were like very much aligned. We spoke about it. As I said, I had this one goal to be a millionaire by 30, not doing anything until we do that. And, people might call me selfish, fine. But like, we were a team and we were aligned on that, and it was for the better of our future. So I just was relentless and worked like crazy and did that by 30. Then we got married. And then again, we were very open about having children. And it was, as soon as I could, Josie was working kind of like a 9 to 5 for Bristol University, and I didn't want her to anymore, and she didn't want to. So she came and worked for us for a while, and then we got pregnant, and now she's just the best mum I could ever ask for. Like, genuinely, she is incredible. And I think I'm very lucky that she gives me the freedom to go and do all this stuff and be here today. And last night I was out at the Christmas do in London, and she's at home with our children. But that's something we discussed, and it was like very much an open conversation of like, I'm going to continue to do this so that I can provide for our family and give our children an amazing upbringing. And I never want them to have like be entitled or just have money, and we'll do it in the right way. And I think my parents did amazing with me with that. But we're very much a team. We're very much aligned that Josie is going to raise those girls the best she possibly can. And of course I'm there. I'm lucky enough that I learned this from Andy, because Andy, my co-founder, had he's got a son, he's got 2 children as well, but he's got a son, Ted, who's 8 now. So he had children before me, like 4 years before me. And I always remember saying to Andy, I almost kind of found it a bit weird, but he was like, as a non-negotiable, I am picking Teddy up from school and having dinner with him every night. And I used to, before children, I was like, come on, mate, like, we've got work. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, let's work. Like, let's earn some money. And now I really respect that. And I think that's such a cool thing. And I don't take that for granted at all, because I've got so many mates who are, you know, not on this journey and working their kind of other jobs, and they have to work away from home. I mean, I have to go away a lot, but like they have to work away from home 3 nights a week, or they work late and don't get home till 8 o'clock and don't see their kids. And like, I feel very, very lucky that I can go home pretty much 90% of the time, unless I'm here or traveling or whatever, and have dinner with my kids, put them to bed. And that's really important to me. And I love my children. And I just think I'm very, very lucky that I have Josie, because that was her responsibility and role is keeping, you know, a lovely home and raising our children. And mine is to provide for that setup and give us a hopefully a really bright future, and give those girls every opportunity they could have. And I think you have to be aligned on that.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't know what that looks like if you're not, but I'm very lucky that we are.
Amazing, man. Is work time and personal time in the sense that do you...
Hard.
After dinner, or are you back
hard.
on work?
Yeah, I mean, every day. Every day I work after dinner, but after I put the girls to bed. So yeah, I've notoriously done that. I think that comes from my chefing days, where like I would work until 11 o'clock at night and then come home and work. Like I always work in the evening, but my routine tends to be, I'm a fitness freak. I think it's so important for my head, but also I love fitness. So we'll both be in the gym every morning. We're lucky we've got a gym at home, so I've got like no excuse. It's not like I have to drive to a gym, like, so I've literally got no excuse. So we both go in the gym in the morning. And then we'll typically have breakfast together, or Josie will give the girls breakfast, and then she'll take them to school. But I'll always see them before they go to school, and like, you know, send them off to school, which is amazing. And then I'll go to the office around 9, work till normally like about 5 o'clock, and then I'll come home, and that's when, again, I, as a non-negotiable, if I'm at home, we all sit down, we have dinner together around the table. No, there's no TV in our lounge on purpose. Like, we don't let them have TV whilst eating dinner. No, you can't get down from the table until everyone's finished. We're going to talk about our day. And again, that's where Josie's incredible, and she's you know, learned so much as a mum, and she comes out with all these cool things, and you know, just silly things. But like, when children are young, so we've got Bonnie's 2.5, so she's now talking and understanding, having conversations, and Poppy's obviously 4, so she's more than capable of doing that. But like, if you ask them, it's funny, like, this is parenthood's mad, but if you ask them like, how was your day, you don't get much back. Like, Poppy's like, it's okay, yeah, it's good. But if you ask specific questions, you get really good responses. So I think Josie learned this somewhere, but we'll ask things like, is there anything that made you sad today, Pops? And she'll come out and she'll be like, oh yeah, some kid pushed me, and she'll tell us a whole story. And she's like, and what made you happy today, Poppy? And she'll come and like give you real good feedback and conversations. So I think it's just like learning that. But yeah, we all sit around the dinner table, always talk. We now also now after dinner we always play like a little game. So we sit on the table and they have these little things like bug bingo, or it's, you know, snap, or whatever it may be, and we do that, and then always give them a bath together, put them to bed, and then I'll come down and probably work for about an hour, and then I'll go in, me and Jace will watch a program or something and go to bed. And that's like our normal kind of day. But I still get those pockets with the girls, which is so important. But I laughed when you said, you know, is the balance hard? Because with mobiles and stuff, it's so easy, isn't it, to like sit at the dinner table and like just checking Slack, like just checking the notifications. And then you're
stuck in the vortex and you've gone down a rabbit hole.
I think I went through a phase of, again, I think I've said it, I'm a big fan of accountability, and like me and Andy will sometimes go through phases where we'll set up a personal spreadsheet between us, and we'll set these like I use the term, but non-negotiables that we have to do every day, just to like stay on task. So it might be like work out, do 100 press ups, drink 2 liters of water. And typically when we go through these, mine is no phone between 5 and 7. So I'll come home, leave the phone either in the car or at the door, and then I won't look at it until 7. But if I don't have that as like an accountability or a non-negotiable that I'm doing at that time with Andy and being accountable to it, I am quite guilty of like just checking things.
Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind. Exactly. If it's there, like even if it's just in your peripheral vision, sat somewhere near your desk, it's chaos. It's
exactly. It's very easy to do, isn't it?
100%.
But yeah, I'd recommend having children.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I can imagine that's an incredible journey.
Yeah, they're really cool. They're hard, very hard work. Like again, way harder for Josie than me. She takes the brunt of it, but very, very rewarding. Yeah, really cool. It's very cool.
What's the vision now you've had the exit? So what are you working towards? Like what are you holding on to? Is there a finite goal, or is it
Yeah, as far as business, we have obviously goals for sure. The only thing we are looking at is the next year or two, because very selfishly we have a performance earn-out. So like it's very rare. Like some people will never sell businesses, some people will sell 10, but like it's very rare that in any entrepreneurial journey you have this like window of opportunity for like post-exit where you get a multiple based on what you do for a year or two. So like we are very much in that, and we're trying not to, as entrepreneurs, trying not to get like shiny object syndrome or look anywhere else. We have our kind of agencycircle.com, which is just a little newsletter where we just blog about agency life, basically. But aside from that, it's very much heads down, ConversionWise, maximize the earnout. Of course, why wouldn't we? But also create, like, just continue creating this cool thing. Like, I just love the people. I love the stories. Like, I love the feedback we get from employees and from clients, and like the results is like it's just so rewarding. Honestly, like we have this feedback wins channel in Slack, and every time we have a winning test for a customer, so every time a test, A/B test or experiment becomes statistically significant, we have an automation that pings into that channel, and it says, for example, like we have pod structure in the team, so it's like barracudas or cobras or whatever the pod name is, and it'll be like Cobra's just got a $36,000 increase in monthly revenue for client X, and like that notification, like still to this day just gets me so buzzed. Like every day I'm like smashing the like button, like reacting, like fire emojis, and I genuinely still love it. Like even after 12 years, I'm still like obsessed. I don't know, like again, you never go to school and think of CRO, you wouldn't even know what it is, but I'm obsessed with like getting results through CRO for our clients, like still. So I can't see anything changing. We're obviously on this really cool journey with Supergroup as well. So that's like a new, that's like, again, a bit of a new feeling or a new startup. Like we're going to board meetings. We didn't have a board meeting for 12 years. Like that's a new experience. Like doing forecasts. We never did a financial forecast ever before. Now we're like looking at 25 and like, this is what we should be doing. This is how much we want to make. This is where we should be spending. And we're learning a lot. That's another thing. I think it's really a really cool journey we're going on, and learning and kind of becoming better businessmen and entrepreneurs, and like learning different skill sets. And like he wouldn't tell me off for saying this, but I think Andy has like developed as a person. He might say the same about me, I don't know, but I can see that because I'm looking at Andy, and like over the last 12 years he's just become this different beast. Like he's learning so many new things, and like he's so smart, and some of the stuff he's doing now is just incredible, and that's because of the people we've got around us and the journey we're on, and the people we're involved in. So that's just super exciting.
Collective growth is what comes to mind when you.
I used to be so closed off to like learning new things. I think that's a huge mistake we made for like probably in that landing page phase, like the first 7-8 years, is like didn't have a mentor, thought I knew everything, was very not egotistical, but like just was very closed off to like anyone giving us advice or anything like that. Yeah. And like whether it's a smaller agency, a bigger agency, or something, like people like even like the silly things like the feedback contest, like it's just a little thing that someone can take, but like you can learn so much from different agencies and just from speaking to different people, and like we're just taking it all on and really enjoying it at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you could leave the audience with one significant agency lesson and one life lesson, what would both of those be?
Wow, that's deep. I think agency lesson would be definitely focus on recurring revenue. I know that's, obviously financial, kind of a bit of finance talk there, but I think for so many years we didn't, and we've just been able to scale at an amazing rate because we have predictable revenue. Like when you can predict, especially when you can work out your churn percentage, if we have our normal churn percentage next month, we should get X amount of revenue in. You can be so much more flexible with making decisions and hires and the type of people you hire and A players and what you can pay people and softwares you can use, etc. So I think for us, having monthly recurring revenues, I would just recommend everyone get to grips with the numbers. I think that's really important. Like if you want to have an exit one day, make sure your books are in order because it's going to be a mess if they're not, and it's going to take a lot longer. And get very confident with reading P&Ls and knowing what EBITDA is and knowing your margins and getting obsessed with working those margins. Sometimes you have to take to kind of move forward, and I think that's really important. As far as life, I don't think anyone's ever asked me this question before. What life advice I would give? Travel while you're young. I know that's very cliche as well, but like if there's any youngsters listening to this, do all your traveling because it's not impossible, but it's definitely harder when you have kids and especially if you don't fly. But I think one thing I'd probably regret a little bit is, again, I think opportunity is abundant for people these days. When I was starting online, it wasn't. I had to create the forum to know how to do affiliate marketing. Like that's why I did it. Now everyone's sharing everything on Twitter and YouTube, and there's amazing content, and I think the opportunities is amazing. So I think, like I say, I couldn't do that travel because I had to work, so I didn't even go online till full time till I was 26. So if I was making money at a young age now, I would definitely be exploring the world a little bit more by boat.
Amazing. Yeah. Oliver, this has been great, man. Is there any particular channels and so on that you would like?
I mean, look, if anyone's a brand and they want to check out what we do for CRO, it's ConversionWise.com. You can follow me at Oliver Kenyon on pretty much every platform, and check out Agency Circle. It's just our little newsletter that we keep people up to date with what we're learning and winning and failing at in the agency space. So, yeah.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Cool, man.